In this session, we'll try to understand what is AWS data sync. So, probably the word always says as it states data. So, we are now dealing with some data with the help of AWS service, but synchronization or the sync is something quite different. So, data sync. So, either it could be a possibility of one is a backup thing, that is data sync is when it comes to backup things, so we can maintain the same retention policies of the data, we can keep another backup database. So that is also we can go with, call it as data sync. But what exactly the data sync service in AWS? So we'll go and try to understand that. So this is the agenda of the session. Now we'll try to understand what is AWS data sync, why it is used, how exactly it is going to work, and some key features of it. Okay, let's move on. So what exactly the AWS data sync is all? So even the data sync is a fully managed transfer service. So it is a kind of a service which helps us to transfer the data from on-premises to the cloud storage. Fine. So like how it could be like. So it's a fully managed data service that simplifies and acceleration moving large amount of data between on-premises storage system, edge location, as well as AWS storage service like S3, Elastic File System, and Swax. So it is not only moving your data from on-premises to the cloud environment, but also you can make it into edge location. So we all know that why do we require edge location? So we cannot keep a server in every region or in every certain distance. So where there is a huge accessibility rate of the application is high. So instead of keeping or maintaining the server everywhere to optimize the cost, the organization will go and opt the technology called edge locations. So what exactly the edge location does here? So the edge location keeps the data, whatever the data having in the main server will keep the replica of it for the certain duration. Okay, so till where there is a huge transaction for that particular data. If there is no transaction for that particular data for some duration, so automatically the data will be erased from the edge location. So to keep your data up to date, so we require the technology called data sync. That is, so assume that in main server we have uploaded some images and the same images should be replicated in the edge location also. On that case, whenever I try to access the data in to my nearest location, that is the edge location, means that is assume that I'm in India and I would like to access the Amazon's e-commerce websites, and which is located in very far distance from India. And so in that case, if data is getting fetched from that for X location, okay, so on that case, it will be huge latency, and that is a delay of getting the data or refreshing the data. So in those cases, we will going to set up the edge location in India. So saying that, so assume all people are trying to access the same shoes. Okay, so that shoes first time when whoever accessed it, so that in that case it will go and fetch from the main server and it will be cached in the edge location. That is, the data will be synchronized in the edge location also, same data, whatever the data I have tried to access. So thereon, if someone else trying to access the same shoe link or the same product from the Amazon, means on that case the data will be retrieved from the edge location, nearest edge location only. It won't move to main server or the main database and request for that product details. So this is how the data sync transformations or accelerating of moving data does. And also we can move the data to AWS storage service too. So in when it comes to AWS storage service, we can opt it for S3 or Elastic File System and Amazon Flex. Okay, so we just understood what exactly the data sync. So whatever the data, if you want that data to be replicated or if you want that data to be copied, so they are both are same meaning. Just for your understanding convenience, I am just trying to explain in different words. Okay, so you have some ABC in main database and you want that database to be in the another server. So on that case, the data sync will be used. And in main server, apart from ABC, you updated with XYZ. So the same data should be replicated in the another server too. That is one scenario. Yet another scenario, your organization previously working on on-premises infrastructure and they wanted to move into the cloud infrastructure. So on that case, it would be very hard. So you need to install many servers and you need to push that data into the cloud infrastructure with this, without any loss and without any downtime. So for that, it will be take a very huge time and the cost will be more expensive and also the time will be more since for to transfer data, so we require very high bandwidth or the networking things, right? So for that, if I want to go and purchase all those things for only the transformation purpose, it will be very huge cost. So to optimize or to overcome all those things, we can just go and opt the service in AWS, that is data sync or the synchronization. So which will help us to migrate on-premises infrastructure into the cloud infrastructure, no matter what kind of data you have. So how much of data you have, so we can transfer without any issues. Okay, so we can transfer the data seamlessly, so without any troubling things. Fine. So that is the yet another one scenario, and another scenario is you can just fork the data of the same thing in the edge location also, so that it will be easy accessible, the latency will be optimized, right? So those, even those can be achieved. So we just understand what exactly is data sync is all about, and we do have understand why it is being used. So but still we'll go and try to understand even in deeper. Still, let's start with that is why do we require the AWS data sync? So one is for data migration, I just mentioned, right? So move files and directories from on-premises to the AWS cloud storage. Assuming that you have the physical infrastructure and you wanted to move all those data without any loss to AWS cloud, that is, it could be cloud infrastructure means. On that case, you can go with data sync. So migrate between AWS storage service or across AWS region. So it's not restricted to any one kind of region. So since whatever the service the AWS is offering, it will be available in all the regions. So one thing. Next is data transfer for processing. So continuously transfer data for analyzing in AWS. Assume that so you have infrastructure which is running in your on premises or the physical infrastructure and you want to process or analyze the data. Okay, so if you want to analyze your data or if you want to keep backing up of your data continuously means you don't want to create build another physical infrastructure or the on premises infrastructure. For those purpose you need to you would be going with the cloud infrastructure, that is for backing up thing and analyzing the data and all the things. So for those purpose you will be going with cloud infrastructure. So on that case, even the data sync will be used. So whatever the data or the logs that is getting generated in your local or the on-premises infrastructure, so same data can be backed up or the logs can be monitored as well as analyzed with the help of data sync. So the data sync will help us to get the data or migrate the data for transfer. That is, it will going to transfer the data to the cloud infrastructure, and it will help us to process the data, whatever the data we had in the infrastructure, that is on-premises infrastructure. Fine. Next is backup and archival. So same automatic backup to AWS storage for disaster recovery or compliance. So it would be advisable if you have the on-premises infrastructures, and it would be advisable to go with the cloud infrastructure. So even you might ask that even the cloud infrastructure ultimately depends on the on-premises data, but it is depend on the AWS, but not on your own side. So if anything has happened, the AWS owns the responsibilities of getting back your data. Fine. And the replication. So it could take as its location. So keep on-premises data synchronized with AWS storage for hybrid cloud architecture. So whatever the data you own in on-premises, that is the physical infrastructure. So same data can be replicated in the cloud level also. Fast, reliable, and transfer. So that is speed up large scale data movement with optimized protocol and network usage. So it will be more fast and reliable too. So since we are not bothered about any networking thing, so only thing is we need to set up the things properly, and left is with AWS. So there on the AWS will go and take care of transferring the data to the on-premises thing. So we just understand why do we require. So these are all some benefits of going with data sync. So now we'll move on try to understand how does the AWS data sync work. So see, we know and we have understood the concept of the data sync, and in what all the aspects we can implement the data sync. Also, we came to understand from the previous slides. But how do we go and implement the data sync things? So simply, if we go and just try to log in into the AWS console and trying to access the data sync, does it work? No, exactly, it doesn't work. So we need to set up some configuration priorly before we heading to the automating the backup or the replication thing. So we'll see how we can do that. So initially, you need to deploy data sync agent on premises, that is on your source system. So from where you wanted data to be backup or replicated. Okay, so from there, that is from in that location or the that server, you need to install the data sync agent, that is on premises or in your virtual environment. So this agent handles the data transfer to the cloud or the AWS thing. Okay, so something magic cannot be happen, right? We need someone to be push that data to the cloud infrastructure. So who is going to push that data to the cloud infrastructure? So the person who we have installed or on the on premises thing, that is data sync agent. So we have installed the agent on the on premises or the source server, right? So they he or he going to take care of the work or the job of transferring whatever the data is coming to that server into the AWS environment. So the agent communicates with the data sync service in AWS, that is cloud. That is initially, the agent got triggered with the new data. So he going to notify the data sync service in the AWS saying that, so I have got new data and I will be pushing it, and you just store that data in the cloud thing, like that. So for that, I have to configure the thing in the cloud infrastructure. So where my data to be stored, and what is the transfer rate, everything I need to be configured in the AWS itself. Next is configuring the task. So define source location, that is from where you want it, that is on premises, and the destination location, that is whether your AWS service or whether to the another on premises data storage. And configure filter to include or exclude specific files. So while migrating data, so we may not require some files or the directories which is not so much important, or which has extended, that is we don't have any use from those data means, so we can exclude that also. Or if you want only the important files to be backup and only that data to be analyzed. So even we can include those data and we can exclude the rest of the data tools. So that can also be done while configuring the thing and initiate data transfer. So this is done on the source side and this is done on the cloud environment. Okay. So once after that, so we need to start either the data backup manually or we can schedule it for periodic execution also. So that is initial data transfer. So start the task manually or schedule it for periodic execution. So by default or at the time of initialization. So initially we will be going with the manual thing to test. So once after the things got completed successfully, so thereon we can go ahead with the execution periodically. That is the automations would be set up. So we will be setting up the time. So on each and every time, so the data sync agent will be communicated with the data sync server or the service in the AWS saying that do you have anything newly to be backup, like then it will communicate themselves and if exist automatically it will transfer the things. Okay. Next is data sync uses the optimized and secure protocol to transfer data over the network. So since it's been even the networking thing has been handled by the AWS, so you need not worry about the protocols or the security things. Everything is being managed by the AWS only. Monitoring and logs. So no matter so what service you have opted from the AWS. So if something goes down or something goes wrong during the process, so we need to rectify the issues and we need to analyze what exactly have been happened. So for all those things, we need to maintain the logs. So how logs can be maintained using the CloudWatch. That is monitor transfer progress and metrics using the AWS management console. That is even to transfer your data, we need the server, right? So that server is being set up in the AWS too. So how fast your server is processing the data and whether it is getting overpriced pressure or do we want to scale up the server for even the faster data transfer. Everything if we want to make out, we need to have to set up the CloudWatch for that. So by looking into the metrics, we can identify the issues and also the logs. Okay. Next is data syncs validates the file integrity during and after transfer to secure accuracy. So it will also ensure the data integrity. So we cannot expect during the data transfer once it is left the source machine and till it reaches the destination machine. So the duration of the travel will be completely on the here, that is on the network. So in that case, if someone has breached the network security and it got access to that data means so the data will be lost, right? So to avoid all those things, even the data integrity, so whatever the data if I am sending from source machine ABC, aim ABC should be received at the end of the destination. So if it is not found, so obviously some certain action will be taken. So the data integrity should be maintained by the AWS data. That is, they assure we provide the data integrity also. That is the networking security, how they are getting. That is how they are going to provide the assurance for using their service. Okay. So here are some key features. So we just understood what exactly did data sync and in what scenarios or in what situation we can go with data sync and how we can configure the data sync, how exactly it will going to work. We have understood all those things. So even the key features is something a combination of why only. Okay, so since it's a high performance, so transfer up to data up to 10x faster than the traditional tools. So we do have the offline tools or the non-cloud based tools, so even which does the same work, but when it comes to cloud, so it will be more faster than the traditional tools. Next is incremental transfer. So detects changes and transfers only modified data. So if you have modified some files in some data in the file means So it won't just update, that is it won't get replace the file, so it just update the file, that is it will going to modify the files only on detect the changes. And data validation, so just saw that data integrity, so that is what, so ensures transfer data is accurate as well as complete. And next is end-to-end encryptions. So since they are providing the data integrity, so obviously there will be a security called end-to-end encryption. Next is scalable. So today you are transferring 40 bytes, 40 TB of data. Tomorrow it would reach 100 TB of data. So we cannot expect so how much of data it will move. So auto scaling is very much important while transferring the data also, for the storage as well as for processing also. So even this could eliminate the cost, instead of having the physical server means. So additionally we need to set up the processor as well as the storage for all those things. So when it comes to cloud, so it will be optimized, so things will be taken care by the AWS. Only thing we need to pay for the resource we use during that process as well as storage. Okay. And here are some data storage supported things. That is, when it comes to on premises, so these are the storage things we can use to migrate the data or the replicate the data. That is a network file system or the server message block. So when it comes to AWS, so in these many things we can store the data things. Okay, so we'll go and try to see from the AWS console, so how exactly it will going to look and all. So fine. So just logging into your AWS account and try to navigate to data sinks using the global search box. Okay, so here data sync simplifies, automate and accelerate moving of your data. So fine. So look here. So create a data transfer task. So it is saying that between whether you want it from on-premises to AWS, or between different cloud, or between AWS storage service only. These are the three options or the features of data transfer have been provided from the AWS. So this is from these methods you can just migrate the data. And before we move ahead, let us consider the pricing. This is the most important one before we heading with anything. Okay, so there is no upfront cost or the minimal fees. So there is nothing like cost or the minimum fees to be paid to use the service, but you pay flat per gigabyte fee for the amount of data transferred between the storage location. So how much data we are transferring, for that purpose or the for that amount of data we will be going to pay the amount. Okay, between the storage location, tasks configured with enhanced mode are also charged a fee per task execution. For the storage or the data transfer, so if you are transferring from on premises of 1 GB of data to your cloud means, so the data, that is the amount will be charged for 1 GB, along with that the execution. So these fees cover the usage of service managed cloud infrastructure to move, verify, and synchronize your data. So we'll be using the agent to communicate with the AWS data sync service, right? So from the on-premises, so it will going to instruct. So the execution has happened there. For that, we need to pay the amount, and the data transfer is initiated. So how much data we are transferring, for that we need to pay the amount. Okay, for all those things. So you are charged standard request as well as data transfer rate to read, even to read and write from the data storage we need to pay the amount. So ultimately what we came to understood from looking into the pricing thing. So the data sync service is not comes under free tier. So I will look some other thing to show you people how exactly it will going to work in more their own videos. Okay, that is in future days. So if I got an opportunity to explore this service, definitely I will let you know people with the demo. So since I won't be creating any agent here, so just for the understanding purpose, I am creating just I'm looking here. Okay, so deploy agent. So the transfer data between self-managed storage or the AWS storage, ensure you have deployed and started the agent virtual machine. Your agent can run on either on-premises hypervisor or EC2. Okay, so here it is. So where do you want to deploy your agent? Okay, next service endpoint. So choose the service endpoint that this agent will connect to. So that is where do you want to connect your agent. Okay, next is activation key. So automatically get activated key from your agent. So we need to paste the agent address here. So whether you can go with a manual thing or the things will be provided by the AWS only. So probably you people have now got some clear understanding of data sync, how exactly it is work, and where all we can go and implement the things. Okay, soon I will try to get you people with the practical demo thing. Okay, so thank you for watching this tutorial. If you have any queries, please do drop the comment. Thank you.